The diagnosis came on a rainy Tuesday in November, the kind of day that seeps into your bones and makes you feel like the sun will never shine again. I was at work, my desk cluttered with half-finished designs for a new boutique hotel downtown, when Ben called. His voice was flat, mechanical, like he was reading from a script he didn't want to believe. "Jules, it's Mom. The doctor called. It's early-onset dementia." I felt the air leave the room. My fingers went numb around the phone. "What? Are you sure? She's only 62. They did an MRI, cognitive tests, everything. He said it's aggressive. She's already showing significant memory loss and confusion. She left the stove on twice this week. She got lost walking to the grocery store she's been going to for 30 years. I closed my laptop, my chest tightening. Eleanor, my mother-in-law, a woman who had always been sharp as a tack, who could recite Shakespeare from memory, who corrected people's grammar at dinner parties. The idea of her mind crumbling was incomprehensible. "Where are you?" I asked. "At her house. Can you come?" "I'll be there in 20 minutes. I grabbed my coat and told my boss I had a family emergency. The drive to Eleanor's Victorian house on Elm Street felt endless. Rain hammered the windshield, and my mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Dementia. That word carried so much weight. It meant decline. It meant watching someone you love disappear piece by piece. It meant years of caregiving, medical bills, and heartbreak. When I arrived, Ben was sitting on the porch steps, his head in his hands. He looked up when he heard my car, and I saw that his eyes were red and swollen. He had been crying. Ben never cried. He was the steady one, the problem solver, the man who could fix anything. Seeing him broken gutted me. "Hey," I said softly, sitting down next to him. I put my arm around his shoulders. He leaned into me, his body trembling. "I don't know what to do, Jules. She's my mom. She raised me by herself after Dad died. She worked 2 jobs to put me through college. She never complained. She never asked for help. And now she needs me, and I don't know how to help her." I kissed his temple. "We'll figure it out together. We always do." He nodded, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "The doctor said she can't live alone anymore. It's not safe. She needs constant supervision, round-the-clock care." "We'll hire a nurse," I suggested. "I looked into it," Ben said, his voice thick. "It's $15,000 a month for full-time care. We don't have that kind of money, Jules. Not with the mortgage, the car payments, the student loans. And she doesn't have long-term care insurance. She always said she'd never need it." I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. We had been saving every spare dollar for the past 2 years, building a nest egg for the future, for a baby. We had been trying to get pregnant for 6 months, and we had finally started to see a fertility specialist. The consultations, the tests, the treatments, they weren't cheap. But I couldn't say that, not now. Not when Ben was looking at me with so much pain and desperation. "What are you thinking?" I asked carefully. Ben took a deep breath. I think she needs to come live with us, just for a while, until we can figure out a long-term plan. Maybe Medicare will cover some of the costs eventually. I don't know, but right now she needs us. She needs me." I felt a knot tighten in my chest. Our house was a modest 3-bedroom Cape Cod. It was cozy, perfect for the 2 of us. But Eleanor? Eleanor and I had always had a complicated relationship. She was polite, always gracious in that way that wealthy, educated women are. But there was a coldness underneath. She had never quite warmed to me. I was the graphic designer who grew up in a small town, the girl who didn't go to an Ivy League school. I was nice enough, but I wasn't her first choice for Ben. "Ben," I said gently, Are you sure? It's a huge commitment, and your mom and I, we're not exactly close. I know, Ben said, squeezing my hand. But she's sick, Jules. She won't even remember the time she was difficult, and I promise I'll do everything. You won't have to take care of her. I'll hire someone to come during the day while we're at work. You won't even notice she's there. That last part, I knew, was a lie. But I also knew that Ben needed this. He needed to feel like he was doing the right thing for his mother. And I loved him. So I said the only thing I could say. Okay, bring her home. 2 weeks later, Eleanor arrived. Ben and I had spent those 2 weeks transforming the guest room into a space fit for her. We bought a hospital bed, a commode, a shower chair. We installed grab bars in the bathroom and removed the throw rugs that might cause her to trip. I researched dementia care, read articles, watched videos. I wanted to be prepared, but nothing prepared me for the reality. When Ben led her through the front door, I barely recognized her. She looked smaller, frailer. Her hair, which had always been perfectly coiffed, was limp and unwashed. She wore a cardigan that looked 2 sizes too big, and she clutched a handkerchief in her trembling hands. Her eyes darted around the room, wide and confused. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice quavering. "This isn't my house." "No, Mom," Ben said gently, guiding her to the armchair by the window. "This is my house. You're going to stay with us for a while, remember? We talked about this." "Oh," she said, blinking. "Did we? I don't remember." She looked at me, and for a moment I saw a flicker of something in her eyes. Was it fear? Embarrassment? I couldn't tell. "Hi, Eleanor," I said, smiling warmly. "Would you like some tea?" "Tea?" she repeated, as if the word was foreign. "Yes, tea would be nice. Do you have Earl Grey?" "I do," I said. "I'll make you a cup. Servus." As I stood in the kitchen waiting for the kettle to boil, I heard Ben talking to her in soft, soothing tones. He was explaining where the bathroom was, where her room was, how to use the remote for the TV. She asked the same questions over and over, and he answered them patiently, never showing frustration. My heart ached for him. That first week was hard, but manageable. Eleanor had good days and bad days. On good days, she would sit in the living room and read, or watch old movies, or tell stories about Ben's childhood. She would smile and laugh, and for brief moments it felt almost normal. On bad days, she would wander the house in the middle of the night, calling for her late husband. She would forget where she was, forget who we were. Once she looked at me with such hatred and hissed, "Who are you? Get out of my house." Ben rushed in and calmed her down, reminding her that I was his wife, that she was safe. The home health aide we hired, a kind woman named Maria, came every weekday from 9 to 5. That gave me some breathing room. I could go to work, focus on my projects, pretend for a few hours that my life was still my own. But then Maria quit. She gave 2 weeks' notice, apologizing profusely. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Hayes," she said. "My mother in Mexico is sick. I need to go take care of her." We scrambled to find a replacement, but good aides were hard to find. The agency sent a few candidates, but Eleanor refused them all. She would scream and throw things, accusing them of trying to steal from her. "She's just scared," Ben said. "It's the disease. She doesn't understand." We couldn't keep cycling through aides. It was expensive and exhausting. So I made a decision that would change everything. "I'll take a sabbatical from work," I told Ben one night. "Just for a few months, until we find someone Eleanor trusts." Ben looked at me, his eyes filled with gratitude and guilt. "Jules, I can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking," I said. "I'm offering. She's your mom. And you've been killing yourself trying to work full-time and take care of her in the evenings. Let me help." "Thank you," he whispered, pulling me into a tight hug. "I don't deserve you." I requested a leave of absence from my job. My boss was understanding, but warned me that the position might not be available when I returned. I accepted the risk. I threw myself into caregiving. I cooked Eleanor's favorite meals. I read to her from her beloved history books. I managed her medications, her appointments, her hygiene. At first, it felt good. It felt noble. I was doing something meaningful, something selfless. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things started to change. The first incident happened 3 weeks into my sabbatical. I had left Eleanor in the living room, comfortably settled in her chair with a blanket and a cup of tea, watching a nature documentary. I needed to take a shower, just 15 minutes to feel human again. "Eleanor, I'm going upstairs to shower," I said. "Do you need anything before I go?" "No, dear," she said sweetly. "I'm fine. Go ahead." I took the quickest shower of my life, rinsing the shampoo out of my hair in record time. When I came downstairs, wrapped in my bathrobe, the smell hit me first. Chemical, sharp, acrid. I ran to the kitchen. The bottle of bleach was lying on its side on the floor, its contents spreading across the brand-new hardwood floors we had installed just 3 months ago. The finish was already bubbling and peeling, the wood beneath turning a sickly white. Eleanor was standing in the corner, holding the empty bottle, her face a mask of confusion. I thought it was milk," she stammered. "I wanted to make tea. I thought it was milk." "Milk?" I shrieked, my voice higher than I intended. "Eleanor, milk doesn't come in a bottle that says bleach in huge letters. It was under the sink, behind the child-proof lock." "I don't know," she whimpered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so confused. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." I grabbed paper towels and started mopping up the bleach, my hands shaking. The floors, our beautiful floors, ruined. Ben came home that evening to the disaster. He was devastated when he saw the damage. "How did this happen?" he asked, kneeling down to inspect the wood. "She thought bleach was milk," I said, my voice flat. Ben looked at me, then at his mother, who was sitting in her chair, rocking back and forth. "She's sick, Jules. She doesn't understand labels anymore. The doctor said her visual processing is deteriorating." "But Ben," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "the bleach was under the sink, behind a lock. How did she even get to it?" "She must have figured it out," Ben said, though he sounded uncertain. "People with dementia can sometimes remember old motor skills." I bit my tongue. Something about it felt wrong. But I pushed the feeling down. "She's sick," I reminded myself. "It's the disease." A week later, it was my laptop. I'd been working on a freelance project trying to bring in some income since I was on unpaid leave. The project was due in 2 days, and I had spent weeks designing a logo for a high-profile client. I left my laptop on the dining table while I answered the door. It was the mail carrier with a package. I was gone for maybe 2 minutes. When I came back, my laptop was soaked. A full glass of water had been knocked over, directly onto the keyboard. The screen flickered and went black. Eleanor was sitting at the table, calmly reading a magazine. "Oh dear," she said, looking at the sizzling machine. "Did it rain? Is there a leak?" "A leak!" I screamed. "Eleanor, you knocked over the glass. You destroyed my laptop. All my work is on there." "Don't yell at me," she shrieked, covering her ears. "You're scaring me. Ben, she's hurting me." But Ben wasn't home. I stood there, trembling with rage and helplessness, staring at the ruined machine. When Ben came home that night, Eleanor told him I had screamed at her for no reason. "She dumped water on my laptop, Ben," I protested. She didn't mean to, Jules. It was an accident." She looked at me. "Ben," I said, my voice breaking. "Right after it happened." She looked at me and she smiled. Ben's face darkened. She smiled. "My mother, who has dementia, smiled because she destroyed your computer. Jules, do you hear yourself? You're starting to sound paranoid." "I'm not paranoid," I shouted. "I know what I saw." "You're stressed," Ben said. His voice clipped. "You're exhausted. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe we need to find another solution." "What other solution, Ben? We can't afford a nurse, and you won't put her in a home." "Don't you think I know that?" he yelled. "Don't you think I'm drowning too? But she's my mother, Jules. She's sick. Have some compassion." I didn't respond. I just went upstairs and cried into my pillow. The incidents continued. My favorite cashmere sweater, the one Ben had given me for our anniversary, went into the wash with bleach. It came out a mottled, ruined mess. "I was trying to help with the laundry," Eleanor said innocently. "I didn't know it wasn't supposed to go in with the whites." My passport disappeared 2 days before Ben and I were supposed to fly to his cousin's wedding in California. We tore the house apart looking for it. We couldn't find it. Ben had to go alone. "You probably misplaced it," he said. "You've been so scattered lately." 3 days after he left, I found the passport. It was in Eleanor's nightstand drawer, buried under a stack of old photographs. When I confronted her, she blinked at me. I don't know how it got there. Maybe I thought it was mine. Then came the gas. It happened 3 times. 3 separate occasions when I came downstairs in the morning to find the kitchen filled with fumes. The stove was on, all 4 burners, but unlit, just gas pouring into the air. The first time I thought it was an accident. "Eleanor, you know you're not allowed to touch the stove," I yelled, throwing open the windows. "I wanted to make soup," she said. "I forgot." The second time, I installed child-proof covers on the knobs. The next morning, the covers had been removed. The gas was on again. "She must have figured out how to take them off," Ben said when I told him. "We need to install a shut-off valve." The third time, I woke up in the middle of the night to the smell. I ran downstairs to find Eleanor standing in the dark kitchen, staring at the stove. "What are you doing?" I demanded, turning off the burners. She turned to look at me, and for just a second, I saw it. A flicker of something cold and calculating in her eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by confusion. "I don't know," she whispered. "I was sleepwalking, I think." The breaking point came on the night of the dinner party. Ben's boss, Mr. Hartley, was coming over with his wife. It was a huge deal. Ben was up for a promotion to senior architect at his firm, and this dinner was essentially an audition. I spent 2 days preparing. I made beef Wellington, Ben's favorite. I made a lemon tart from scratch. I cleaned the house until it sparkled. Eleanor had been having a good week. She was lucid, chatty even. She sat in the kitchen that evening watching me cook. "You're such a wonderful cook, Julia," she said. "Ben is so lucky to have you. I always knew he would find someone special." I smiled, touched by the compliment. Maybe I had been too harsh. Maybe the incidents really were just accidents. "Thank you, Eleanor. That means a lot." "I'll just sit here and keep you company," she said. "I won't get in your way. Actually, would you mind keeping an eye on the tart while I go upstairs to change? Just make sure the timer goes off in 20 minutes. "Of course, dear. I can do that." I went upstairs, took a quick shower, and changed into a dress. I was gone for maybe 25 minutes. When I came back downstairs, my heart stopped. The kitchen was a disaster. The beef Wellington, which I had been so proud of, was on the floor, smashed, ground into the tile, and the tart. The beautiful, perfect tart I had spent hours making. It was still in the pan, but someone had dumped an entire canister of salt into the filling. It was inedible. Eleanor was sitting in the corner crying. "There was a rat," she sobbed. "A huge rat. It ran across the counter. I tried to hit it with the pan, but I missed, and it fell. I'm so sorry." And then I thought the tart needed more sugar, so I added some, but I think I grabbed the wrong container. "A rat," I repeated, my voice deadly calm. "There was a rat in our kitchen." "Yes, a big one. It was so scary." I looked around. There was no rat. There were no droppings, no evidence of a rodent at all. Where did it go? It ran into the wall. There must be a hole. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her and shake her. But Ben walked in at that moment. He took one look at the scene and his face went white. "What happened?" "Your mother says there was a rat," I said, "and it made her destroy dinner." "I'm so sorry, Ben," Eleanor wailed. "I tried to stop it. I'm so clumsy." Ben looked at the ruined food, then at the clock. The Hartleys were arriving in 30 minutes. We had nothing to serve them. We ended up ordering pizza. The dinner was a disaster. Mr. Hartley was polite, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. Ben didn't get the promotion. That night, lying in bed, Ben turned away from me. "Maybe we need to put her in a home," he said quietly. "Not because of her, because of you." I sat up. "Excuse me." "You can't handle it, Jules. You're resentful. You're stressed. You're seeing conspiracies where there are none. There was no rat. Maybe she saw a shadow. Maybe her vision is failing. But you act like she's doing it on purpose. Because she is." I hissed. "Ben, open your eyes. She's destroying everything I care about, and it's only when you're not around." "Stop it," Ben snapped. "Just stop. She's my mother. She's dying by inches, and you're making it about you." I lay back down, my heart pounding. I couldn't sleep. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of old wood settling. Around 3 in the morning, I got up to get some water. As I passed Eleanor's room, I heard a voice, a low, clear voice, not the trembling, confused voice of a dementia patient. "Yes, it worked perfectly, Ito," Eleanor was saying. She looked like a hysterical shrew. Ben was mortified. I froze. My blood turned to ice. She was on the phone. "No, he won't kick me out. He feels too guilty. His father made him promise to always take care of me, and Ben is nothing if not loyal." "The money?" "Oh, don't worry about the money, doctor. The wire transfer went through yesterday. $5,000, just like we agreed. Yes, keep the diagnosis on the official record. I need it for the insurance claim too, and for the legal documents. Oh, she's breaking, Charles. Another month, and she'll either leave or he'll leave her. Either way, I get my son back. And I get this house. It's worth $500,000 now. When they divorce, Ben will move back in with me. He'll sell this place and buy me something better. No, I'm not worried about her recording me. She's too stupid. She actually believes I have dementia." I stood there, my hand pressed against my mouth to keep from screaming. She wasn't sick. She was a monster. She had faked everything. The memory loss, the confusion, the tremors, all of it. An elaborate, calculated con, and she had an accomplice, a doctor named Charles. I wanted to burst into the room. I wanted to rip the phone out of her hand and scream the truth. But I stopped myself. If I confronted her now, she would deny it. She would say I was hallucinating. Ben would never believe me. I needed proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof. I crept back to the bedroom, my mind racing. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I acted completely normal. I made Eleanor her oatmeal with blueberries just the way she liked. "How did you sleep, Eleanor?" I asked cheerfully. "Terribly, dear," she sighed. "The shadows, they move at night. It's very frightening." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. eat your breakfast." As soon as she was settled in front of the TV, I grabbed my keys. "I'm running to the store," I told her. "I'll be back in an hour." "Don't be long," she whimpered. "I get scared when I'm alone." I drove to the electronics store in the next town over. I didn't want to risk running into anyone we knew. I bought 3 hidden cameras, nanny cams. One was disguised as a smoke detector, one as a phone charger, one as a small clock. They were expensive, but I didn't care. I also bought a voice-activated recorder. Back home, I waited until Eleanor was napping. Then I moved quickly and quietly. I installed the smoke detector cam in the kitchen, the charger cam in the living room, plugged into an outlet behind the couch, the clock cam on the bookshelf in the hallway, angled toward her bedroom door. Each camera fed to an app on my phone. I could watch live or review recorded footage. And then I waited. For 3 days, Eleanor performed her role flawlessly. She shuffled. She forgot names. She asked the same questions over and over. I played along, biding my time. On the 4th day, Ben left for a work trip. He would be gone for 2 days, visiting a construction site upstate. "Will you be okay?" he asked me. "I can cancel if you need me." "We'll be fine," I said, kissing him goodbye. "Go, get the job done." The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I grabbed my purse. "Eleanor, I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything?" "No, dear, but please hurry back. I don't like being alone." "I'll be an hour. There's juice in the fridge if you get thirsty." I left the house, got in my car, and drove around the block. I parked on a side street where I had a view of the house but couldn't be seen. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. The living room camera showed Eleanor sitting in her chair, staring at the wall. She sat there for about 10 minutes. Then she stood up. No struggle, no cane, no hesitation. She stood up smoothly, stretched her arms over her head, and cracked her neck. She walked to the kitchen. Her gait was normal, strong, confident. She opened the fridge and pulled out a bottle of wine. My wine. The expensive Pinot Noir I had been saving for our anniversary. She poured herself a generous glass, took a sip and smiled. Then she pulled a cell phone out of her cardigan pocket. A phone I had never seen before, a burner phone. She dialed a number and put it on speaker. "Charles, it's me," a man's voice answered. "Eleanor, how's the performance going?" "Flawlessly," she said, taking another sip of wine. "She's on the verge of a breakdown. I've destroyed her work, her belongings, her credibility. Ben thinks she's paranoid and unstable. And the financials? I need you to send the revised medical report to Ben's email today. Make it look worse. Say I need specialized medical equipment that costs at least $5,000. I want to drain their savings so she can't afford to leave him." "You're diabolical," Charles said, laughing. "I love it. Oh, and remind me to leave the bathtub running later. A little water damage should ruin that ceiling she's so proud of. Maybe it'll finally push her over the edge." They laughed together. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. I was recording everything, every word. Every damning second. Eleanor hung up, finished her wine, washed the glass, dried it, and put it back in the cabinet. Then she walked upstairs. I switched to the hallway camera. She went into the bathroom, turned on the tap in the tub, and left the door open a crack. Then she walked back downstairs, settled into her chair, and resumed her frail, confused posture. She was waiting for the water to overflow, waiting to destroy our home. I didn't go inside. Not yet. I called Ben. "Ben, you need to come home. Now." "Jules, I'm 3 hours away. What's wrong? Is Mom okay?" "Just come home and bring your laptop. Meet me in the driveway. Do not go inside the house." "You're scaring me. You should be scared. Trust me." He made it home in 2.5 hours. He looked frantic when he pulled up. What the hell is going on? Get in my car, I said. He did. I handed him my phone. Watch. I pulled up the footage from an hour ago. Ben watched his mother stand up. He watched her pour the wine. He heard her voice on the phone, drain their savings, push her over the edge. His face went pale, then gray. Then he looked like he was going to vomit. This has to be fake. This is a deep fake. You faked this. It's happening right now, Ben, I said. I switched to the live feed. We watched Eleanor sitting calmly in her chair. Then we heard it, a sound from upstairs, water, dripping, then pouring. Ben looked at the screen. We saw the water spreading across the ceiling of the living room, darkening the plaster. Eleanor looked up. She smiled. Not a confused smile, a satisfied smile. Then she started to scream. Help! Help! There's a flood! Ben! Julia! Someone help me! Ben opened the car door and vomited onto the pavement. He sat there for a long moment, his head in his hands. Then he wiped his mouth, took a deep breath, and got out. We walked into the house together. Eleanor was crying in the living room, pointing at the wet ceiling. It's water. I don't know where it came from. I'm so scared. Ben walked past her without a word. He went upstairs and turned off the tap. He came back down, his face a mask of stone. Ben? Eleanor asked, her voice trembling. What's wrong? Are you angry? Drop it, Mom. Drop what, darling? I don't understand. The act, Ben said, his voice like ice. Drop the act. I don't know what you mean. I'm confused. Ben held up my phone. He pressed play. Her voice filled the room. She's on the verge of a breakdown. I've destroyed her work, her belongings, her credibility. Eleanor froze. The trembling stopped. The tears dried instantly. The confusion vanished from her eyes, replaced by cold, hard fury. She straightened her spine. She looked at me with pure, venomous hatred. You little spy, she spat. Ben flinched. Why? He asked, his voice breaking. Why would you do this? Eleanor stood up. No cane, no weakness. She looked strong, healthy. Because she stole you, Eleanor screamed. You were mine. You were my son. My whole life, I sacrificed everything for you. And then she came along with her mediocre little job and her mediocre little life, and you chose her. You were going to have a baby with her. You were going to forget about me. I was never going to forget you, Ben shouted. I loved you. Love, she scoffed. Love doesn't pay my bills. Love doesn't keep me in my house when the bank is threatening foreclosure. What? Ben whispered. Eleanor laughed bitterly. Oh, you didn't know. I'm broke, Ben. I've been broke for years. I gambled away your father's life insurance. I took out loans I couldn't pay back. I was about to lose everything. And then I thought, why not let you save me? You're a good son, a loyal son. All I had to do was get rid of her, and you'd take care of me forever. So you faked dementia, I said. I found a doctor who owed me a favor, Eleanor said, shrugging. Charles and I were lovers in college. He's been in financial trouble, too. I paid him to write the diagnosis, to coach me on the symptoms. It wasn't that hard. I've always been a good actress. You destroyed my life, I said. You tried to drive me insane. And I almost succeeded, Eleanor said, smiling coldly. You were so close to breaking. Another week, and you would have either left or ended up in a psych ward. Either way, I would have won. Get out, Ben said. What? Get out of my house, now. Ben, you can't. Get out, he roared. Eleanor grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. She stopped and turned back. You'll regret this, both of you. The only thing I regret, Ben said, is believing you were ever my mother. She slammed the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. Ben and I stood there, staring at each other. Then he collapsed onto the couch and sobbed. I sat next to him and held him while he cried. He cried for the mother he thought he had. He cried for the woman who never really existed. And he cried for the trust that could never be rebuilt. We didn't press criminal charges, though we could have. We sent the footage to her insurance company. They sued her for fraud. We sent it to the medical board. Dr. Charles lost his license and served 2 years in prison. Eleanor lost everything. Her house was foreclosed. Her pension was garnished to pay back the fraudulent disability payments she had collected. She ended up in a state-run assisted living facility. Ben visited her once, a year later. I didn't go with him. When he came home, he was quiet. "How is she?" I asked. "She's actually sick now," he said. "Real dementia. The doctors think the stress triggered it." "Do you feel bad?" He thought about it. "No, I feel nothing." We spent the next year rebuilding our lives. We fixed the water damage. We replaced the floors. We went to therapy, individually and together. And 2 years after Eleanor left, I gave birth to our daughter, Rose. She has Ben's eyes. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm feeding Rose in the quiet dark, I think about Eleanor. I think about the woman who almost destroyed us. And I'm grateful that I trusted my instincts. Grateful that I fought back. And grateful that love, real love, was strong enough to survive.